So this is what my feed plan looks like. I just had the stickers, so I used them, but it's easy to have a visual. It's all written in my waterproof notebook, so it's easy for the crew to follow, and we'd talked it through in advance. Plan Bs were also included, but I've kind of had bothers with feeds for the last few swims. I changed to this Precision Fuel. I have tried their powdered version, which should be the exact same thing, but that made me sick. So on Hit the Wall in Carlingford last year, I realised that when I used the gels, they stayed in fine. When I had the mixed up feeds, they weren't good. So I swapped to all feeds on gels, where I have a mark on the bottom here, which is 30 grams of carbs, which is the equivalent to about 50 grams in weight of the gel, but I used one of the actual gel pouches to measure that. The plan was to have on my first hour 30-gram carb feed, and then 30 grams of carbs every half hour after that. If my stomach was happy with that, we'd up it to about 40, so it was just eyeballing to go above the line. I also have this bottle here where you transfer the whole Hydro Flask 300 into this, and that also has measurements on it, so you just squeeze it into the bottle. Very easy to prepare on a boat. I have a big flask of hot water, which I've added the ocean electrolytes into also. So put your gel in, put your hot water in. We were limited on hot water, so it was hot water and then topping up with cold. The water temperature was warm, so it wasn't too necessary to have all hot feeds. I had the carb chews as a potential, maybe I'll want to choose something. I did have one on the swim, didn't like it, and I know solids slow me down too much. From 8 hours, I think I had my first caffeine feed at 8 hours 20, so that was just subbing a caffeine gel in on one of the normal carb feeds. Then every 6 hours I was having 1 scoop of Huel. So 1 scoop of Huel is 200 grams of, it's 200 calories, but what that is broken down into is, so I should have known that in advance. Okay, 40 grams of protein in a 400, so 20 grams of protein is what I was getting in on 6 hours. And again on 12 hours, the last feed is always going to be flat, normal red Coke. I actually had a Coke feed at 10 hours because I thought that should have been my last feed, and I decided I wanted it then anyway. Then I reluctantly had a final feed of Coke because I didn't think they were telling me the truth, that it was actually the last feed. So that's the feeds for on the swim. Then kind of around the swim, so I get sick a lot. I kind of have a sick feeling every morning, and I spoke to somebody who recommended this bone complex liquid, which I started taking, and that helped the sickness go down. It's like an anxiety kind of sickness, but then I forgot to bring that basically to work with me, so didn't have that to bring, and I wasn't going to be able to travel with it anyway. Realised that magnesium was the main thing that was solving the sickness, so I got One Nutrition magnesium, and I've been taking that religiously like from when I got it, and I've not been sick. I wasn't sick on the swim at all. I had one kind of round of gawkiness, which was just because I felt I was in water that was dolphin poo, so that made me that was a mental gawkiness that I couldn't get beyond, but I didn't actually lose any feeds. Another thing that I have found really good over the years is Ethos Good Gut. Used to use that religiously with ashwagandha, and then as with everything, with all supplements that I take, I fall out of practice with it. But I do always carry the Good Gut, and I kind of take it more as my stomach gets upset, and I have had to use that this week. Another thing is the creatine. So I was chatting to one of my friends, and we were just talking about how women should be using it. I didn't see myself making up another mixture, so I went looking for chewies. Actually ended up getting sweets, so taking me back to the bodybuilding days, the Animal Pack creatine chews. So I have been taking them also, and in place of bringing a multivitamin, I've been using the Huel Greens as well. So I've been having that nearly every day, pretty much every day. And I'm kind of having them around meal times because can't eat gluten, and I'm a little bit restricted in the food, and I'm not eating that much veg, so I feel like that's a supplement. So that is how I feel like I have nailed the nutrition. Also, I had, after the swim, Earl Grey tea with honey. That's what I always have, and I had some of that on board for if I wanted some tea, because I wasn't peeing. But luckily I kept peeing all the way through and all was good. So hopefully that's helpful.